Hey everyone, welcome back to Sarah in the Universe. I'm Sarah, and today I finally got to watch MaXXXine last night at an early access screening, and I am so excited to bring you my non-spoiler review. Yes, this will be a non-spoiler review, so don't worry, there are absolutely no spoilers in this review, but I will be doing a spoiler review next week, so be sure to stay tuned for that because there's so much about this film that I want to get into that I won't get in here because obviously this is non-spoiler. So let's jump into that, but before we get started, I just want to thank all of you guys who are subscribed to the channel. Thank you for staying subscribed and for coming back to check out another movie review with me. All right, let's get into it. So just to give you some of my general thoughts about MaXXXine, I have to tell you, this right off the bat is my favorite entry in Ty West's trilogy. Of course, you know, this is the third installment, with X being the first, Pearl being the prequel, and now MaXXXine. In my opinion, I think that MaXXXine was the perfect Hollywood ending in this trilogy for Miss Maxine Minx. This film just embodied Hollywood in the 80s, this amazing noir mystery of this sleazy Hollywood, but this also very gory horror and mysterious just element that is just pouring through the streets of Hollywood. And it was just so good. It was so much fun to watch. And I think, you know, one of the reasons why this was my favorite in the trilogy, you know, I may be a little bit biased in sense because, you know, I do live in LA, so I love seeing movies about Hollywood. I love just that element of it all, and I'll get into this, you know, more in the spoiler review and, you know, a little more in this interview, in this review later. But the fact that they, you know, filmed a lot of this at Universal Studios Hollywood on the backlot, that just already had me so stoked from, you know, the trailers that I knew I was going to love it. And boy, did they really make use of that backlot. But in general, focusing on Maxine, this was like my favorite that we've seen Maxine Minx. I mean, she, of course, you know, with seeing her in X, she held her own. She was a baddie. But in this one, she really takes that to a new level. I mean, she's really here to tell you that Maxine doesn't need any help. She is here fighting her own battles. Whatever stands in her way, she's like, nope, I came here to be a star, and that's who I'm going to be, and no one's going to stop me. No one's going to stand in my way. You know, Pearl already tried it, and look what happened to her. And oh my gosh, I mean, Mia Goth, okay? Mia Goth is just phenomenal in this movie, as she ever is. You know, she did such a spectacular job with X and with Pearl, but in this one, she truly shines, really taking Maxine to a new level where we have not seen her. In my opinion, making her very superhero-like, in my opinion. You know, really, you know, standing in her own as a woman, and, you know, as a woman in the 80s, and saying, you know, really embodying that whole final girl aspect. And saying, yeah, you are not taking me down. There are so many things that I can't wait to talk about in the spoiler review that really just, my jaw was on the ground in this film. I was like, yes, I was cheering. I was literally cheering in the film. I was like, yes, get him, Maxine, you know. And Mia Goth just looked absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the style, the outfits in this film got me so excited. You know, A24 is actually selling that green satin jacket that Maxine wears in the movie, for a majority of the movie, and I think that's super cool. You know, loved everything she wore. She looked amazing. I was just blown away. I enjoyed watching this film so much, just seeing this adventure of Maxine in Hollywood in the 80s, and this, you know, slasher mystery was just so great and really captured Hollywood in the 80s. And I'll get into that more in the spoiler review of a lot of details, especially, you know, details you've got to really see in the background of things, you know, pay attention to what's going on in the setting as well. I also really loved how much this film took place on Hollywood Boulevard. Now, I did a whole video talking about the MaXXXine tour that you can take with Starline Tours. I believe the last date to do that is sometime this weekend. So if you're in LA, you definitely want to check that out now. But I took the tour, it was phenomenal. And after, taking the tour, you watch the film and you're like, yep, they literally drove us right down here, right down there to very crucial points in the movie's storyline. So definitely, I'll talk about that more in the spoiler review. But I was just like so excited. Like, hey, we literally followed Maxine's path through the film on this tour. So that was really exciting. So also what I should say is Maxine, much like X and Pearl, has a very different feel to it than X and Pearl. All three such great films, but all feel so very different in tone and in filmmaking as well. Maxine is a very noir Hollywood film, like I said, a very mystery. It's just so good, like this detective 80s slasher, gory horror thriller in sleazy Hollywood. It's so good, and I loved it. I just loved the feel. It's crazy, something that I think Ty West has done such an extraordinary job bringing with all three of these films is just making it feel like these aren't films that we would normally get in modern day cinema, even for modern day horror. They all feel like something we would have watched a long time ago, whether this was in the 70s or now in the 80s. It feels so great to be watching this in the way it was shot. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate what he brought to the horror genre with these. I mean, it just is in my opinion, all three of these films are extremely timeless. They will be just, it's so treasured. For years to come. I mean, Maxine, Mia Goth is solidified as a final girl horror icon for life. She's just historically going to be remembered for that in the horror genre and in Hollywood. I absolutely love that. Okay, so before I get into, the cast, I just want to, zero in on that Universal part. Like I was saying, without saying too much, a good majority of the film, they do shoot a lot of it at the Universal Studios backlot, which I was super excited about them doing. Of course, you saw from the trailer. I'll only talk about what we saw, in the trailer so far without giving too much away. But the Bates Motel and the Psycho House, it was so good. So many good scenes that I was literally just so excited watching that. And I've been saying that Universal needs to bring Maxine to Halloween Horror Nights. I don't think it's going to happen, but it absolutely should after this film. I don't know how they could not pass that up. I know it's not their movie, but, they could license it. They do that all the time. So I really hope they do that, if not this year, another time, because my gosh, that would be so thrilling to live out Maxine's, just adventure on the Universal Studios backlot. It's so good, but I'll get into that more on the spoiler review because we can't talk spoilers here. But all right, without further ado, let's get into the cast really quick. I just want to, say some stuff briefly of what I thought of everyone. So, of course, I talked about Mia Goth, of how just extraordinary she is in this film. She has that X factor, and boy, Mia, Mamma Mia, you just brought it. She is an icon. This is my favorite version of Maxine Minx we've seen in this film, living up to her true stardom. My jaw was on the ground. So good. Such a stellar performance from Mia Goth. Maxine Minx, you are my hero. Okay. I want to talk about Halsey as Tabby Martin. Halsey was so much fun. Oh my gosh, it's a small role in the film, but super, super cute. I love her, and really, really great acting from Halsey. I absolutely loved it. I think you'll love her performance. It was really, really good. Obviously, I don't want to keep saying this, but we'll talk about more in detail of what happened in the spoiler review, so stay tuned for that. Lily Collins, I really love too. Also a small role, but nonetheless super great, super terrifying. I can't wait to get into that as well. Kevin Bacon now. Mia Goth is a star of this film. But Kevin Bacon, right up there. I mean, he was so good. This is probably one of my favorite Kevin Bacon roles as of yet. And his role opposite of Maxine here, without getting in too much, was just so much fun to watch. Oh, it was just the best. I mean, he just really spiced things up alongside Maxine in this film. And like I said, his scenes alongside Maxine / Mia Goth, so exciting to watch. He was phenomenal in this. He is going to be remembered in this role for a long time. It was so good. And yeah, can't wait to talk about him more later on. Elizabeth Debicki is Elizabeth Bender. Oh, the director. So good, so fierce. And oh my gosh, Elizabeth Debicki, not only is she a phenomenal actress, but she is just so tall and she just like radiates all this just powerful, like, oh, just she looks so good. Her outfits, I loved her. Oh, her scenes, a lot of her scenes too with Maxine on that Universal backlot. So good. I loved it. Can't wait to get into it more. Okay. Moses Sumney, absolutely love him. Without saying too much, he does play Maxine's friend here, Leon. And yeah, there's not too much I can say without spoiling, but I just want to say I really loved his character, and I can't wait to talk about it more. All right, my man, Giancarlo Esposito, again. Can't say too much about him. I don't think they said what role he plays in the film publicly, so I don't want to say that until the spoiler review. But as Teddy Knight, he was just so great. You guys know this guy's a legend. Another legendary role for him. I love seeing him, next to Mia Goth. Gosh, what an icon that man is. He was so good in this. Gosh, I can't wait to talk about his character more. I was stunned. So good, so good. And then now we have Michelle Monaghan and Bobby Cannavale as Detective Torres and Detective Williams. They were great in this. They totally gave me like LAPD detective vibes in the 80s. They were so good. I really enjoyed their scenes. Really great stuff, and I can't wait to get into that more, like I said in the spoiler, but just so great. Yeah, I don't want to make this video too long because I plan on making so many more videos. Again, the spoiler review talking about Maxine, as well as just other aspects of the film. So I want to save that for another time, but just wanted to get in my general thoughts. Maxine, in my opinion, the perfect Hollywood ending for Miss Maxine Minx in the 80s. I loved it. Mia Goth, phenomenal. It is my favorite entry in the trilogy. Like I said, all three films, X, Pearl, Maxine, extremely different from one another, and I really appreciate that we get something different with each three of those films. And I highly urge you to check out Maxine on the big screen. Enjoy it where it's meant to be enjoyed, and be transported back into time, into 80s Hollywood, in a sleazy, gory, horror, mysterious LA. It's just so good. By the way, I forgot to mention, this is right at the top of my head, I'm just remembering now before I end the video, what I wanted to say that what Maxine actually really reminded me of, ironically, was Scream 3. That's all I'm going to say. And Scream 3 happens to be, after the original, one of my favorite Scream films. When I rank them, it's like I love the original Scream, and then Scream 3 is my favorite right there. And I just want to say, if you're a huge fan of Scream 3 like I am, I think Maxine's going to be your favorite of the trilogy. That's all I'm going to say. It's just so good. And I didn't want to forget mentioning that because I was like, wait, I have to mention Scream 3. So, guys, that's going to do it for my review, my non-spoiler review on Maxine. Come back here next week for the spoilers, where we're going to get into that a lot more. I plan on doing more videos on Maxine and talking about all this stuff. I'm really sad the trilogy's over. I hope we get more Maxine in the future. I don't know. I'm a little bit doubtful, but I want it. Guys, I want to know what you thought of Maxine. And yeah, I can't wait to talk about more Maxine with you guys very soon. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.